Chapter 7, Writing to Express. Emma had made impressive progress in speaking and listening, but there was one skill she wanted to strengthen even more: writing. She longed to share her thoughts, tell her stories, and perhaps one day write about her travels for a wider audience. Yet, whenever she sat down to write in English, she felt unsure. She worried about grammar, spelling, and finding the right words to convey her thoughts. Writing in a foreign language felt like a daunting task. However, Emma realized that improving her writing could help her express herself more fully. She was ready to embark on this new chapter in her English learning journey, with a focus on writing clearly, creatively, and confidently. Step 1. Start with a writing journal. To ease into writing, Emma started a simple English journal. She set aside a few minutes each evening to write about her day, her thoughts, or something she'd learned. At first, she wrote only a few sentences, using the vocabulary and grammar she was most comfortable with. But as her confidence grew, she started adding more details and experimenting with new words and expressions. Keeping a journal allowed her to practice without the pressure of perfection. She wasn't writing for anyone else, so she could take her time, make mistakes, and try out different ways to express her ideas. Some days she wrote about her dreams of traveling, while other days, she reflected on the challenges and joys of learning English. Over time, her sentences became longer, her ideas clearer, and her writing more personal. Step 2. Expanding vocabulary through reading. Emma realized that reading could also improve her writing, so she began exploring books, articles, and blog posts written in English. She started with short, simple stories and travel blogs, focusing on topics she enjoyed. Each time she encountered a word or phrase that captured her attention, she'd jot it down in her notebook, along with an example sentence to help her remember its meaning. She noticed that reading in English introduced her to new ways of expressing familiar ideas. Words like wanderlust, serenity, and exploration added color to her vocabulary, making her writing feel richer and more expressive. The more she read, the more she saw how writers used language creatively, playing with metaphors, descriptions, and tones. Emma felt inspired to add some of these techniques to her own writing. Step 3. Practicing short writing prompts. To expand her creativity, Emma began practicing with short writing prompts. She chose topics like describe your favorite place or write about a memorable trip. Each prompt gave her a chance to focus on a specific theme and build her confidence. Sometimes she'd write a single paragraph, while other times, she let herself write a full page, exploring different ways to express her thoughts. One day, she chose a prompt that asked her to describe her dream destination. She imagined herself standing in a bustling street market in Morocco, surrounded by vibrant colors and fragrant spices. As she wrote, Emma challenged herself to use descriptive language and sensory details, creating a vivid scene. When she finished, she read her piece aloud, smiling at how her words brought her imaginary setting to life. Step 4. Learning from mistakes through self-editing. After writing, Emma found it helpful to review her work with a critical eye. She'd read each sentence carefully, looking for any areas to improve, whether it was grammar, vocabulary, or sentence structure. When she noticed a mistake, she'd correct it, jotting down the correct form to reinforce her learning. She found this self-editing practice valuable. It allowed her to learn from her mistakes without feeling discouraged. Emma also realized the power of using online tools to check her grammar and spelling. These tools helped her spot small errors and suggested improvements, making her more aware of common mistakes. As her skills grew, she found herself making fewer corrections, a sign of her steady progress. Step 5. Experimenting with different writing styles. Emma wanted to explore different forms of writing, so she started experimenting. She tried writing short stories, descriptive paragraphs, opinion pieces, and even travel tips. Each style allowed her to express her thoughts in a unique way, expanding her versatility as a writer. One day, she challenged herself to write a story about an adventure. She described a fictional trip to the mountains, where her main character faced unexpected challenges and discoveries. Crafting the story allowed Emma to practice storytelling techniques, like building suspense and using dialogue. Although it was just a short piece, it was one of her proudest accomplishments, a glimpse of her potential as a writer. Step 6. Seeking feedback from friends and language partners. To gain more confidence, Emma started sharing her writing with her language exchange friends. She'd send them short pieces and ask for feedback on clarity, tone, and structure. At first, she was nervous about exposing her writing to others, but her friends were supportive and gave her constructive advice. Alex, her language partner, became her main writing mentor. He'd point out areas for improvement, such as varying sentence length or using more active language. He also praised her progress, celebrating her achievements and encouraging her to keep writing. Their feedback sessions made Emma feel more comfortable and motivated to write and share her thoughts in English. Step 7. Setting small writing goals. To stay consistent, Emma set small weekly goals. Some weeks, her goal was to write 3 journal entries. Other weeks, it was to complete a short story or write a description of a place. By setting achievable goals, she made writing a regular habit, something she looked forward to each day. Emma even began posting some of her short travel stories on social media, where she could share her experiences and connect with a larger audience. The positive feedback she received gave her a sense of pride, motivating her to continue writing and improving her skills. Step 8. Writing about her passions. Emma found that writing about topics she was passionate about made the process enjoyable. She loved describing the sights, sounds, and flavors of different cultures, so she began focusing on travel writing. She'd pick a city she dreamed of visiting, like Tokyo or Paris, and write about what she imagined seeing, doing, and experiencing. One day, she wrote a detailed description of the Sakura Cherry Blossom Festival in Japan, weaving in sensory details she'd read about. As she wrote, She felt as if she were walking beneath the blooming trees, inhaling the delicate fragrance of the flowers. By writing about her passions, she discovered a voice and style that felt uniquely her own. Reflecting on her writing journey. Emma's writing journey wasn't always easy, but each day brought new discoveries and growth. As she continued practicing, she realized how much her writing had improved. She could now express her thoughts more clearly and creatively, with a vocabulary that allowed her to capture the world around her. One day, as she reviewed her old journal entries, Emma noticed how simple and hesitant her early writing had been. In contrast, her recent entries were full of life and color, describing experiences and ideas with depth and confidence. She felt proud of how far she'd come, knowing that her persistence and love for language had made it possible. Through writing, Emma had found a powerful way to share her thoughts, dreams, and stories. She was no longer afraid of making mistakes or struggling to find the right words. Writing in English had become a way for her to express her unique perspective and share her journey with the world. With each piece she wrote, Emma grew closer to her dream of becoming a travel writer. She was excited for the future, ready to continue exploring new places and sharing her experiences through her writing. This chapter had given her the confidence to keep expressing herself, knowing that her words could connect with readers near and far. Emma knew her writing journey was just beginning, and she looked forward to the stories she'd create and the adventures that awaited her. Chapter 8: Finding a Mentor or Partner. Emma had come a long way on her English learning journey. She had practiced listening, speaking, reading, and writing, gradually building her confidence and skills. But as she reached a more advanced level, she realized that she needed something extra to keep progressing: a mentor or a learning partner who could challenge her, provide feedback, and offer guidance. She knew that having someone to learn with or learn from could make a big difference in staying motivated and reaching fluency. Emma had always been inspired by those who could speak multiple languages, and she noticed that many of them had stories about a teacher or friend who helped them along the way. With this in mind, she set out to find her own mentor or partner, someone who could share her passion for language learning and support her journey to mastery. Step 1: Setting clear goals for a mentor or partner. Before looking for someone to learn with, Emma spent some time clarifying what she wanted in a mentor or partner. She made a list of qualities and goals, such as having regular conversations, receiving constructive feedback, and getting help with specific areas like pronunciation or advanced vocabulary. She also wanted someone who would encourage her without judgment, understanding that making mistakes was part of the process. Emma realized that finding a mentor or partner wasn't just about choosing someone fluent in English. It was about finding someone who could meet her needs and match her learning pace. By setting clear goals, she could focus on building a relationship that would be mutually beneficial and supportive. Step 2: Exploring language exchange programs. To begin her search, Emma explored online language exchange platforms. She joined several communities where English learners and native speakers connected for practice sessions, cultural exchanges, and friendship. She filled out her profile, specifying that she was looking for a mentor or partner to work with consistently, and soon received responses from people around the world. Emma connected with a few native speakers who were interested in learning her native language in exchange. This exchange setup was exciting, as it allowed both partners to teach and learn. She began having weekly calls with a partner named Rachel from the UK, who helped her with pronunciation and everyday phrases, while Emma taught her about her own language and culture. Rachel's encouragement and feedback gave Emma confidence, especially when tackling difficult aspects of the language. Step 3. Finding a mentor with experience in teaching English. Emma also wanted to learn from someone with teaching experience, so she explored local and online resources to find a professional English tutor. She found a tutor named John, who specialized in helping advanced learners achieve fluency. They arranged weekly sessions where John gave her focused lessons, often covering topics that Emma struggled with, like phrasal verbs or idiomatic expressions. John's guidance helped Emma make faster progress, and his structured approach gave her a clearer understanding of her strengths and weaknesses. Having an experienced mentor allowed Emma to ask detailed questions, refine her skills, and work on areas she'd found challenging on her own. Over time, John became not only her teacher but also a source of motivation, encouraging her to keep pushing toward her goals. Step 4. Building a supportive community. In addition to her mentor and language partner, Emma joined a few online English learning communities. She became a part of a supportive group on social media where people shared tips, resources, and their personal progress. Members encouraged one another, and she found it uplifting to see other learners celebrating their milestones, whether it was mastering a new word or speaking up in a group setting for the first time. Within these communities, Emma made friends who were on similar journeys, and she created a small group chat with a few of them. They'd share their weekly goals, offer encouragement, and celebrate each other's achievements. Having a community of fellow learners provided Emma with ongoing motivation and the knowledge that she wasn't alone in her journey. Step 5. Scheduling consistent practice sessions. One of the most valuable aspects of finding a mentor and language partner was having regular practice sessions. Emma and Rachel met twice a week, and her tutoring sessions with John took place every Saturday. This consistency helped Emma stay focused and accountable. She'd prepare topics to discuss or questions to ask, making each session productive and engaging. With each meeting, Emma noticed her fluency and confidence improving. The structured schedule helped her prioritize English practice in her busy life, making language learning a habit. Her mentor and partner also held her accountable, gently reminding her to keep practicing even on days when she felt less motivated. Step 6. Asking for constructive feedback. Emma realized that one of the biggest benefits of having a mentor and partner was receiving constructive feedback. With each session, she asked Rachel and John to correct her mistakes, whether they were in pronunciation, sentence structure, or vocabulary use. This feedback was essential for Emma to grow, as it highlighted areas where she could improve. At first, she felt a bit nervous asking for corrections, afraid of how many mistakes she might make. But as time passed, she began to value this feedback, seeing it as a roadmap for improvement. Her mentor and partner were both supportive, offering feedback in a way that motivated her rather than discouraging her. She could see how her sentences were becoming more accurate and natural, a clear sign of her progress. Step 7. Celebrating small wins together. As Emma worked with her mentor and partner, she learned the importance of celebrating small wins. Whenever she completed a challenging exercise, used a new phrase correctly, or spoke confidently without hesitation, her mentor and partner would congratulate her. These small victories boosted her confidence and reminded her of her progress. To celebrate, Emma and Rachel would sometimes play language games, using new vocabulary in creative ways or sharing fun facts about their respective cultures. Celebrating these achievements gave Emma the motivation to keep going, reinforcing that every step forward, no matter how small, was a sign of her hard work paying off. Step 8. Embracing cultural exchange. Working with a mentor and partner from different cultural backgrounds also gave Emma a deeper understanding of the English language. Rachel and John would often share cultural nuances, idiomatic expressions, and slang that were difficult to find in textbooks. Emma learned that language was more than words and grammar. It was a reflection of culture, history, and everyday life. One day, Rachel taught Emma a few British expressions like knackered, very tired, and gutted, very disappointed. Learning these phrases added a new dimension to her language skills, helping her sound more natural and confident. Embracing this cultural exchange made her learning experience more meaningful, and she enjoyed being able to use phrases that reflected her mentor's and partner's backgrounds. Step 9. Tracking progress and setting new goals. With her mentor's guidance, Emma began tracking her progress in a more structured way. John encouraged her to keep a list of goals, including milestones like improving her pronunciation, mastering phrasal verbs, and speaking without hesitation. Each week, she'd review her progress, noting areas of improvement and setting new targets. Tracking her progress helped Emma see how far she'd come, even when the journey felt slow. With her mentor and partner cheering her on, she felt confident setting ambitious goals, such as giving a short presentation in English or participating in a group discussion without fear. Her growth was visible not only to herself but also to those around her, making her feel more capable with each passing week. Step 10. Building a long-term learning partnership. Over time, Emma developed a lasting connection with both Rachel and John. What began as a simple language exchange and mentorship evolved into genuine friendships. They supported each other not only in learning but also in personal growth, sharing stories, advice, and laughter. Emma realized that learning English was no longer a solitary journey. She had found partners who encouraged her, believed in her, and pushed her to reach her full potential. Their support made her feel like she could achieve her goals, no matter how challenging. Reflecting on the power of partnership. Through her journey with a mentor and language partner, Emma discovered the importance of learning with others. She saw how their support had accelerated her progress, helping her overcome fears and reach new levels of fluency. She was grateful for every moment of guidance, laughter, and cultural exchange that had brought her closer to her goal. As Emma prepared for the next phase of her English journey, she felt confident that, with her mentors and partners by her side, she could achieve anything. They had taught her the value of connection, persistence, and support, making her learning experience not just about language but about the friendships and memories she had gained along the way. This chapter showed her that true growth happens when we learn together, and Emma knew that with the right people by her side, her dreams of mastering English, and sharing her love for language with the world, were well within reach. Chapter 9: Embracing English in Daily Life. Emma had come a long way in her English journey. She had built a solid foundation, developed confidence through practice, and formed valuable connections with her mentor and language partners. But she knew that to truly internalize the language, she needed to integrate English more fully into her daily life. She wanted English to feel natural and automatic, not something separate from her usual routine. To do this, Emma decided to embrace English as much as possible in her everyday activities. She realized that by surrounding herself with the language, she could make consistent progress, even without formal study. This chapter of her journey was all about making English a part of her lifestyle, blending it seamlessly into her daily interactions and experiences. Step 1: Setting up an English environment at home. Emma started by creating an immersive English environment in her home. She labeled common objects around her apartment in English: refrigerator, mirror, remote control, giving herself a visual reminder of vocabulary every day. She also changed the language settings on her phone, computer, and social media apps to English, making the language a constant part of her digital life. Emma added an English calendar and to-do list on her wall. Writing her tasks and reminders in English helped her practice thinking in the language as she went about her daily responsibilities. This subtle shift in her environment kept her focused on learning, even during routine activities. Step 2: Watching TV shows and movies in English. Emma loved movies and series, so she decided to make them part of her learning routine. She started with English language shows and movies with subtitles in her native language, making it easier to follow along. Soon, she switched to using English subtitles and eventually challenged herself by turning off the subtitles altogether. Watching movies and series helped Emma improve her listening skills, pick up new expressions, and understand cultural references. She noticed how actors used tone and body language to convey emotions, helping her develop a more nuanced understanding of conversational English. Watching English shows became her favorite way to learn while relaxing, and it gave her plenty of new topics to discuss with her mentor and language partners. Step 3. Listening to English music and podcasts. Emma discovered that music and podcasts were excellent for improving her listening comprehension. She created a playlist of English songs and would listen while cooking, cleaning, or exercising. She enjoyed looking up the lyrics and understanding the stories behind each song. Singing along, even if imperfectly, helped her with pronunciation and fluency. She also subscribed to a few English podcasts on topics that interested her, like travel, food, and personal development. Listening to native speakers discuss real-life topics helped Emma hear natural sentence structures and common phrases. Over time, she became more comfortable understanding fast-paced speech, which made conversations with native speakers feel less intimidating. Step 4. Using English in everyday tasks. Emma looked for simple ways to incorporate English into her daily tasks. When grocery shopping, she'd mentally name each item in English. She kept a small notebook to jot down lists, goals, or random thoughts in English. Even small tasks, like writing a message to herself or making a shopping list, became an opportunity to practice. To push herself further, she started using English when navigating recipes, reading instructions, or making plans for the week. By making English part of these everyday tasks, Emma found it easier to think in English naturally, without constantly translating back and forth. Step 5. Talking to herself in English. While it felt awkward at first, Emma started talking to herself in English. She'd narrate her actions, such as, "I'm making breakfast," or "I need to remember my keys." When preparing for conversations, she'd practice what she wanted to say, going over different responses and questions in her head. Self-talk in English helped Emma improve her fluency, especially in moments when she didn't have anyone else to practice with. Talking to herself also allowed her to practice different accents and intonations, giving her a safe space to explore how to sound more natural. Step 6. Writing a daily journal in English. Emma had already started an English journal, but now she committed to making it a daily habit. Each night, she'd write about her day, focusing on her thoughts, experiences, and reflections. At first, her entries were simple and straightforward, but over time, she experimented with new vocabulary, expressions, and complex sentences. Writing in English every day helped Emma organize her thoughts, expand her vocabulary, and reflect on her learning progress. She noticed that the more she wrote, the more comfortable she became expressing her feelings and ideas in English. Her journal became a place to track her growth, celebrate her achievements, and note any challenges she faced. Step 7. Practicing English in social situations. Emma looked for opportunities to use English in social situations. She visited a few local cafes that were popular with English-speaking tourists, where she could practice ordering in English and strike up small conversations. She also joined an English-speaking club in her area, where she could attend meetups, share stories, and meet other learners and native speakers. These social situations helped Emma gain confidence speaking English with new people. Each interaction, no matter how brief, felt like a small success. Engaging with others in English made the language feel more real and useful, rather than something she only practiced at home. Step 8. Thinking in English. To reduce the habit of translating, Emma started practicing thinking directly in English. Throughout the day, she'd remind herself to think about her plans, observations, or emotions in English. Instead of translating everything from her native language, she tried to let the words come naturally. This practice of thinking in English was challenging at first, but over time, it became easier. She found herself forming sentences and questions more naturally, making it easier to respond quickly during conversations. Thinking in English helped Emma feel more comfortable and fluent, as her brain became accustomed to processing the language directly. Step 9. Reading and learning about English-speaking cultures. Emma realized that language was deeply connected to culture, so she began exploring the cultures of English-speaking countries. She read articles, watched documentaries, and joined forums where people discussed travel, traditions, and cultural norms. Learning about these topics helped her understand the context behind certain phrases, idioms, and humor. Understanding culture made English feel more accessible and alive. It gave her new insights and made her language practice feel more relevant. She could now better appreciate English movies, jokes, and even news articles, feeling more connected to the world that spoke the language she was learning. Step 10. Practicing gratitude and celebrating progress. Embracing English in daily life was a big commitment, but Emma found it fulfilling. She practiced gratitude by reflecting on how much she had learned and how far she'd come. Each day, she celebrated small achievements, whether it was understanding a song lyric, holding a short conversation, or writing a detailed journal entry. Emma realized that learning a language was a journey without a fixed endpoint. By embracing English in her daily life, she had made it a permanent part of who she was. This approach made her learning feel rewarding and enjoyable, reinforcing her motivation to keep going. Reflecting on her daily life with English. By integrating English into her daily life, Emma transformed her language practice from something occasional to something continuous and enjoyable. Her home, hobbies, thoughts, and social interactions were now infused with the language, making English a natural part of her everyday experiences. Emma no longer felt like she was studying English in a traditional sense. Instead, she was living it, letting it shape how she thought, spoke, and engaged with the world. With each day, she felt her fluency growing, not only because of her dedication but because of her love for the language and the lifestyle she had created around it. As she embraced English in all areas of her life, Emma knew that she was well on her way to fluency. She looked forward to a future where she could effortlessly connect with people from all over the world, share her stories, and experience life through the lens of a new language. Her journey was not just about learning English, it was about growing, exploring, and celebrating the world around her. Chapter 10: Reflecting on Progress. Emma had finally reached a moment she had dreamed about since she first set out to learn English, a time to look back on her journey and appreciate the progress she had made. After months of hard work, practice, and dedication, she had come to realize that learning a language wasn't just about memorizing vocabulary or perfecting grammar. It was a journey of self-discovery, resilience, and growth. As she reflected on her path, she felt proud, knowing that each step had brought her closer to her goals. In this final chapter of her learning journey, Emma took time to reflect on how far she had come and the insights she had gained along the way. She understood that reaching fluency was not a destination but a continuous journey, one that would shape her life and open new doors. Step 1: Acknowledging the starting point. Emma looked back to where she had started. She remembered how she felt in the beginning, nervous, unsure, and overwhelmed by the sheer amount of information. She had known only basic phrases and struggled with pronunciation, often hesitating to speak up. Back then, the idea of speaking English confidently had seemed almost impossible. Now, she could hold conversations, write fluently in her journal, and even watch movies without subtitles. Reflecting on her starting point allowed her to appreciate her growth and gave her a sense of accomplishment. Step 2: Revisiting her goals. When Emma first began her journey, she had set clear goals for herself: improving her vocabulary, becoming comfortable in conversation, and building confidence in listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Reflecting on these initial goals, she was proud to see how much progress she had made. Not only had she achieved these goals, but she had also surpassed many of them. She was no longer focused on getting better. Instead, she was focused on using English as a natural part of her life. This shift from achievement to integration showed her that she had truly transformed her relationship with the language. Step 3: Recognizing challenges overcome. Emma took a moment to recognize the many challenges she had faced and overcome. There had been times when she felt frustrated with grammar rules or when she couldn't understand fast-paced conversations. She remembered the self-doubt she had felt early on, wondering if she would ever be able to express herself fluently. Despite these obstacles, Emma had persisted. She had learned to see challenges not as setbacks, but as opportunities for growth. This mindset helped her build resilience, not only in her language learning but in other areas of her life as well. Step 4. Reflecting on the support system. One of the most important aspects of Emma's journey had been the support she received from others. Her mentor, John, had guided her through complex language structures, and her language partner, Rachel, had been a constant source of encouragement and friendship. These relationships had made her journey richer, providing her with both guidance and companionship. Emma was grateful for the impact her mentor, partner, and learning community had on her progress. Reflecting on their support reminded her of the importance of connecting with others in the learning process. Step 5. Celebrating small victories. Emma recalled all the small victories she had celebrated along the way. There was the first time she successfully ordered food in English, the moment she held a conversation with a native speaker without hesitation, and the day she wrote her first page-long journal entry. Each of these moments, no matter how small, had played a vital role in keeping her motivated. Celebrating her achievements had kept her journey enjoyable and reminded her to value each step forward. These small wins, she realized, were the building blocks of her success. Step 6. Assessing skills gained. Emma took time to assess the specific skills she had developed. Her vocabulary had expanded greatly, allowing her to express herself on a variety of topics. Her listening comprehension had improved so much that she could now enjoy English movies, music, and podcasts without constantly pausing to translate. Her writing had become more fluent, and her pronunciation had improved significantly. Assessing these skills reminded Emma of the hard work she had put in and showed her just how much her efforts had paid off. Step 7. Noting changes in confidence. One of the biggest changes Emma noticed was her confidence. In the past, she had often avoided speaking in English for fear of making mistakes. Now, she spoke with pride, embracing any mistakes as part of the learning process. This confidence extended beyond her language skills. It had improved her self-esteem and willingness to take risks in other areas of her life. Reflecting on this change, Emma realized that learning English had helped her grow as a person, teaching her to be resilient, patient, and open to new experiences. Step 8. Embracing lifelong learning. Emma understood that her journey with English was far from over. She had reached a level of fluency and comfort, but there was always more to learn. Embracing the idea of lifelong learning, she was excited to continue growing, improving, and exploring new aspects of the language. Whether it was learning new idioms, diving into English literature, or mastering different accents, she knew that her journey would continue. Embracing lifelong learning gave her a sense of purpose and made her excited for the future. Step 9. Setting new goals for the future. Reflecting on her progress inspired Emma to set new goals. She wanted to deepen her understanding of advanced vocabulary, challenge herself by giving presentations in English, and explore new dialects and cultural nuances. Her future goals weren't just about fluency, they were about becoming even more comfortable with the language and continuing to grow. Setting these new goals reminded her that language learning is an ongoing journey, one that would keep her engaged and challenged. Step 10. Celebrating the journey. As Emma reflected on her entire experience, she felt a profound sense of accomplishment and gratitude. Her journey was filled with hard work, perseverance, and many small steps that had led her to where she was today. She was proud of her dedication and grateful for everyone who had supported her along the way. More than anything, she felt thankful for the joy that learning English had brought into her life. Emma decided to celebrate her progress by sharing her journey with others. She wrote a heartfelt post in her English learning community, thanking her mentor, her partner, and her friends for their support. She shared her story, hoping to inspire others who were just beginning their own journeys. Emma's post was met with encouragement and gratitude from others, and she realized that her journey had come full circle. From being a beginner full of uncertainty, she had become someone others could look up to, a testament to the power of persistence, community, and a love for learning. Reflecting on the power of language learning. Through her journey, Emma had learned that language was more than words and grammar, it was a gateway to new perspectives, friendships, and self-confidence. She had discovered that learning English had not only expanded her communication skills but had also helped her grow as a person. Embracing this journey had taught her the importance of resilience, the value of community, and the joy of learning. As she closed this chapter, Emma felt both a sense of completion and anticipation. She was proud of what she had achieved, yet she knew her learning would continue. The road ahead was filled with new challenges and opportunities, and she was ready to embrace them all. English was no longer just a skill for Emma, it was part of her identity, a language she had learned to live and love. Emma's story was proof that learning a language could be a life-changing journey, and she was excited to see where it would take her next. She looked forward to a future filled with new connections, experiences, and memories, all shaped by the language she had worked so hard to master.